All right, Algebra 11.3, we're multiplying radicals today, and we're going to be using the product property of radicals that we introduced last lesson, where the nth root of x times the nth root of y is equal to the nth root of x times y. You have to make sure that it's the same index, okay? So it has to be, both of them are the square root, both of them are the cube root, both of them are the fourth root, etc. Okay, so example number 1, simplify the square root of 2 times the square root of 6. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the square root of 2 times 6, which becomes the square root of 12. Rewrite that. 12, remember, is 4 times 3, which is 2 times 2 times 3. So product of prime factors. That gives us the square root of 2 squared times the square root of 3, which the square root of 2 squared simplifies to 2 root 3. So now we have just simplified square root of 2 times the square root of 6 is 2 times the square root of 3. Okay, example number 2, simplify negative 2 times the square root of 18 times 5 times the square root of 50. Okay, so we're going to keep the negative 2 and the 5 out here, all right? And then we're going to do 18 and 50, okay? So 18 is 9 times 2, so 3 times 3 times 2. 50, 5 and 10, 5, 2 and 5. So that gives us 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 5 times 5, okay? So outside of the radical, we have negative 10 so far. And then we have the square root of 2 squared times the square root of 3 squared times the square root of 5 squared. So that's just negative 10 times 2 times 3 times 5. Okay, so negative 10 times 2 times 3 times 5 is negative 300. And you've simplified this expression to this. Okay, pretty straightforward, this lesson. Example number 3, simplify the square root of 6ab times the square root of 2bc. So when we multiply that, we get 12ab squared c. So 12 is 2 times 2 times 3 times a times b times b times c. Square root of 2 squared, I'm just going to write that as 2. I'm not going to write that here like this again because I think we're probably getting into the routine now of that. Square root of 3, square root of a, square root of b squared is just going to be b, square root of c. So outside of the radical, we have 2b times the square root of 3ac under the radical. And we're all done simplifying that guy. So, rules for multiplying radicals: apply the product property, writing the radicand as the product of its prime factors, simplify the root of each perfect power, and simplify the resulting expression. Example number 4, we're going to simplify a couple cube roots here now. 225 and 315. Obviously, those are both divisible by 3. Or by 5, or 25, whatever, for this one. But we're just going to do 5 and 45. 45 is 9 times 5, so that's 3 times 3 times 5. 315, I'm just going to start with 5. That's 5 and 63. So 5, 63 is 7 times 9, which is 7 times 3 times 3. So now we have the cube root of, how many 3's do we have over here? We have 2 here and 2 here. So we have 4 3's. And we have 3 5's. And 1 7. And remember, we're talking about cube roots here now. So we have the cube root of 3 cubed times the cube root of this one lonely 3 times the cube root of 5 cubed times the cube root of 7. This becomes 3. This stays cube root of 3. This becomes 5. This becomes cube root of 7. Outside of the radical, we have 15 cube root of 21. And you're all done. And then example number 5, okay, 50. We're going to go 2, 25, 5, 5, and 2. 32. Remember, 32 is 2 to the 5th. Okay, so we end up with 6 2s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then 2 5s. So there's one pair, there's another pair, there's another pair. So remember, that's just square root of 2 squared, square root of 2 squared, square root of 2 squared, square root of 5 squared. So that's 2 times 2 times 2 times 5, which gives us 40, and you're all done. Okay, moving along with some other examples. We've got some more cube roots happening here. Okay, cube root of 4 is 2 times 2, 32. Remember, is 5 2s. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I've knocked those out. I have an x and an x squared there, and an x here. Y to the 5th and 1y, so 6 y's. And 1 z. I'm looking for 3's because these are cubes. There's 3 2's. There's 3 2's. So cube root of 2 cubed, cube root of 2 cubed, and then I'm left with 1 cube root of 2. Here I've got 3 x's, so that's just going to be cube root of x cubed, so that's just x. Here's 3 y's and another set of 3 y's, so that's going to be 2 y's. And the cube root of z all by its lonesome. So outside of the radical, I'm going to end up with 4xy squared times the cube root of 2z for that one. And then example number 7, we have the square root of 5 times the square root of 3 minus 2. So we're going to do the distributive property first. So we get the square root of 15 minus 2 times the square root of 5. Square root of 15. We can't really simplify that at all, okay? Because that's just square root of 3 times square root of 5. Can't simplify minus 2 square root of 5. So that is as simple as that one can get. All right, and the last one here, we're going to do the distributive property again. So we're going to get 2 times the square root of 6 times 15 is 90, minus 6 times square root of 60. 90 is going to give us 3 and 30. We're going to go 3 and 3 times 10, which is 3 times 2 times 5. I don't know why I wrote it like that, but there we go. And then 60, we're going to go 3 and 20. So 20 is 4 times 5, so that's 2 times 2 times 5. So we get 2 times 5 times 3 times 3 minus 6 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. So here we have 2 times square root of 2 times the square root of 5 times the square root of 3 squared. So that's going to give us 2 times 3 times the square root of 2 times the square root of 5 minus 6 times, here we've got square root of 2 squared. That's going to give us 2 square root of 3 square root of 5. Simplify. 2 times 3 is 6. Square root of 2 times square root of 5 is 10. 6 times 2 is 12. Square root of 3 times the square root of 5 is 15. And you are all done. And we are not going to do the stuff about Heron's formula. We're going to skip that. Okay, so that's the end.